Hello, Lovelace. Welcome to today's wider curriculum lesson, continuing our geography work on maps and map reading. Today, our focus is on OS symbols, so Ordnance Survey map symbols. We're actually going to be comparing maps to real life to see how close they are, and whether we can recognize the real thing from the map and vice versa. But anyway, let's a quick reminder of last lesson, which, if you recall, was all about six-figure grid references together with our Ordnance Survey symbols. So let's just have a look at some of the answers. Okay, so our first question was, what symbol can be found in grid square reference 7134? Well, 7134, we go along the easting to 71 and up to 34. So it's this corner here. Okay, so that's the one that's been focused. That's our symbol. And that's the symbol for a quarry. That means that the earth has been dug to allow various stones to be revealed from underneath, dug out and used in various building projects or art and craft projects and things like that. So it's a quarry where stone has been dug out of the earth. Question 2, what symbol can be found at 692337? Well, 69 is there and 2 is just a little bit past there. So we're somewhere on this line here, and we're going to go up to 337. Well, there's 33. That's about 335. 337 is this symbol here. There it is. And you can see that's a public house. 3, what symbol can be found at 681318? Well, there's 681 is just past the line, so it's somewhere along there. And we're going to go up to 318. 318 is most of the way up, but not quite. So it's around here. It's that symbol there, and it's a public telephone. 4, give the six-figure grid reference for the bus or coach station. Well, there's the symbol for the bus, for the coach station. Okay, so where's that? Well, it's 69, and it's just past 69. I'd say probably about 692. And 33, again, just a bit above that. So what should we say? It's there, 692332. If you're one above or below the twos, then you're absolutely fine. So if you said 691 or 693, 331 or 333, I think you'd be absolutely fine with that. And number 5, six-figure grid reference for the battlefield. Well, there's the battlefield, the 2 crossed swords. So our easting number is going to be 70, and it's pretty much in the middle, 705. And then our northing is going to be 3, 4, what do we think? 2, 3, somewhere like that. Let's say 705 and 342. But again, if you're one either side, so 704 or 706, 341 or 343, I think you've done really, really well. Okay, so there are your answers for that particular task. Now, here's an image we don't see every day. But if you have ever traveled by aeroplane, you might have had the opportunity of looking out of the window. And if you looked out of the window just after takeoff or just before landing, this is the sort of view you might have got. Okay, and you get a wonderful view of the world below you and what things look like from above. Okay, and we call this an aerial view or an aerial photograph. And we're going to be comparing aerial photographs today with the Ordnance Survey maps to see just how close they are. Okay. So on this one, you can see some of the fields here where the hedges break up the fields into different shapes. We've got different shades of grass and crops. We've got a village here. We can see all the houses and the streets in between. We can even see the back gardens. So if you can imagine, there's a street there, and then behind each house is an area of green land. It's a little area, so it's their back gardens. And we can see an area of water here, either a lake or possibly a reservoir. Okay. We can see larger buildings here, possibly factories or farm buildings. We can see the roads. We can even see a little roundabout there. Okay, so looking down, we can see quite a lot. We can get a lot of information from this image. But as far as finding places, I don't know how useful it really is, because it is a lovely view, but would that view help you find the local post office? Would it help you find the nearest school? I don't think it really would. So we're going to need a map for that. So let's compare our aerial views with the maps. Here's our first one. Okay. So here's the aerial view. Here's what it looks like from above. And here's the Ordnance Survey map of the same area. Can you find the roads on the aerial photograph? So on this photograph on the left, can you find the roads and then compare them to the roads on the map? What do you notice? Well, the roads on the map are quite clearly these yellow lines. Now, if we look on the picture, on the photograph, you can see that the road comes up here through all these buildings. Then we get to a T-junction here. One goes off down here, and one goes off up here, and then forks again to the left and the right, just the same way as the map. In fact, the map is an exact copy. It's a really, really useful and a really, really close copy to what's actually there. Now, in this village, and it's called a linear village because the village is sort of in a line following the road. Okay. So we know that this is a reasonably small village and it follows a single road up through the middle. But can you see where the church, school, and post office are? Now, if you look at the photograph, you wouldn't have a clue where those three things were. But if you look at the map, because we now know what all the symbols are, can you find the church, the school, and the post office? Well, the church is just here on this T-junction, and it's a church with a tower because we've got the little square underneath. So on the photograph, the church is somewhere in there, but we can't really see it. The school is about halfway down the road. There we go, SCH. So the school is in this area here. And again, I think it's that space there on the map, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't tell a school from above. And the post office is just here. And again, if we look at the map, we know it's somewhere on that bend in the road. So it's somewhere there, but it's not very easy. It's much easier to spot using the map. Okay. There's another one. This is a much bigger town. Okay, so in this town, we can clearly see there are a lot more houses and a lot more other buildings as well. But once again, can you see how the roads are in the same place on the aerial photo and the map? Okay, so let's just compare the roads first of all. So on the map, we've got that big sweeping road up at the top and just the same in real life. When we get to the end of that road, it comes down through the middle here, and so it does on the picture. So it's very easy to compare and be actually quite impressed. Let's be totally honest, really impressed at just how well matched our maps and reality are. Okay. So really easy to compare. Strange shapes of roads here within these housing estates match perfectly on the map. Now, because of our knowledge of OS symbols, we can find the three schools on the map. Can you find them on the photograph? Okay, so job one, find the three schools on the map and then track across to the photograph. See if you can spot them on the photograph. I'll just give you a second to have a think. Okay, well, first job, could you spot the schools? There they are on the map. So there's one there, there's one in the middle, just here, and there's one down here. Now, if we track across to this space on the photograph, we can see that it's this area here. So I believe that this is the school building, and then these are the school's fields. It's this space here that's the first school. The second school is here in the middle of the photo, and it's just on the other side of the road from a sports ground. So we can find the sports ground, which means that it's this area here. And again, we can clearly see the school playing fields, but I'm guessing the buildings are probably here or maybe down here. I'm not 100% sure, but it's that space there. And then finally, this one just here. Again, it's on the other side of the road from a sports ground. Sports ground is there, very easy to spot. So it's this space here. And again, we can clearly see the school's fields, but we're not totally sure what the buildings are. I'm guessing that those will be the buildings for the school. Okay, but really easy to find something on the map, not as easy to find it on the photograph, but they are in the same place. So they do match really well. They're just not as easy to spot. Okay, here's another town. Now, we can actually use maps to help us understand more about the place, not just find ourselves, not find out our way around, but to actually understand the place a little bit better. Now, Bilsthorpe grew as a town because of the local mine. Okay, so there was a local mine, and all the mine workers lived in that village, in that small town. Okay, so that they were close to the mine and could get to work easily. Okay, so the town grew up because they needed a place for the miners to live in. Now, I want you to look at the map and tell me if you think it's mostly miners that live in Bilsthorpe now. Okay, so is it still true that it's miners that live in this town? Have a think and try and tell me why. Try and think to yourself why, yes or no. Well, if you're looking at the map, you might have found the mine, and the mine is up here at the top. And it says mine disused. That means that the mine is now closed down. It's not used anymore. So that means nobody works there. And so what will have happened, and what's happened in a lot of towns around the UK, is when a mine closes, a lot of the people in that town will have lost their jobs. And unfortunately, that will have forced them probably to move away, or for their houses to be sold to other people who need to live close by for their jobs and their work. So a lot of the miners will have moved away. They will no longer be living in this town. Okay, so although the town was built as a mining town to support the local mine, as soon as the mine closed, then a lot of these people would have moved away. Okay, so a little bit of local history, as well as being able to find your way around. Now, south of the mine, you'll be able to see the symbols for trees. Now we've got the evergreen and the deciduous trees. So we've got all sorts of trees dotted around here. Here's a question. Have a think. Why do you think trees were planted between the town and the mine? Have a quick think. Well, the reason was in part to create a visible shield, because the mine wouldn't have been a very attractive place to look at. It was important. It created jobs, so it needed to be there, but it wasn't very good looking. So to protect the view from the town, so they weren't looking at the mine, trees would have been planted as a visible screen. But it would also have deadened some of the sound. So the sound made by the mine, all the noise, would have actually been stopped in part by a big row of trees. So the trees were there for two reasons. One, to make it a better looking area, but two, just to actually kill some of the sound coming out of the mine. Now, many old towns and cities grew up near to rivers. Thinking back to our work on invaders, the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings, why do you think towns and villages grew up near to water? Have a think. Well, if you remember, we did a task on creating your own settlement, on deciding where to put your settlement. And we talked about the importance of water, both fresh water for drinking, but also water for cleaning, water for animals, water for transport, so you could actually travel to other towns and villages and even countries to trade. So water was really, really important. And as a result, in fact, most of our older towns and cities are on rivers for exactly that reason. So you had close access to drinking water, washing water, water for your animals, and transport. Now, tying in with transport, being able to get around a city is really important. So I'm going to ask you to use your map skills now can you find the following means of transport? Somewhere on that map is a railway station. Can you spot it? Somewhere on that map is a bus station. Can you spot that? Where on the map might you borrow a boat? And where on the map might you borrow a bicycle? Okay, have a quick think. See if you can point those out on the map, and I will show you the answers. Right. First of all, the railway station. Well, the railway line is this black line traveling up the corner of the map. And the station is right there. It's the pink dot. Depending on the version of the map, it's either a sort of a reddy pink or red. But there it is. So that pink dot is the railway station. What about the bus station? Well, that's there. That's that funny shape. It's circle with a sort of a line sticking through it. It's that shape there. Okay. Now, a little bit trickier because they're not symbols, but could you spot the boat hire? It's there. Just in that pale blue, you can see the word boat, and just next to it is boat trips and hire. Okay, so it's just there on the river. If you were looking anywhere apart from the river, then you're being a bit daft. Okay, boat hire is going to be on the river, isn't it? What about the bicycle hire? Could you spot where the bicycles could be borrowed from? There it is, cycle hire. Okay, so just there. So those are those four places. Now, if I asked you the same questions and all you had was the photograph, you wouldn't have had a clue. You might have just been able to spot the railway, and you might have guessed that the platform and the station were just there, but you would have found it very difficult. The map is a lot clearer. Now, here's your task for today, and I want to tie this in with our screen-free afternoon. I'd like you to sort of go away from the screen and have a little bit of an arty afternoon, because I want you to design your own town or village. I want you to draw a map of your own town or village using OS symbols. So using the symbols you've learnt about over the last couple of lessons, draw a map to show a small town or village. Your map must contain the following. Okay, so all of these features must be in there. Your town must have at least one main road and then enough minor roads to give access to houses and businesses and things. Okay, so you can't put a house in the middle of nowhere. It needs to have a linking road. So one main road at least, and then as many minor roads as you need to connect everything together. Your map, your town needs to have houses. Okay, people are going to want to live in your town, so we need some houses. We need a school. Hopefully some families are going to want to move in. They're going to have children. They're going to need a school. I also want a post office. Most villages will have a little post office and general store that'll sell all the basics that people need if they don't want to go out to a big shop at the supermarket. So a post office, a place of worship. Now you can choose what style of place of worship you would like. Do you want it to be a church with a tower? Would you like it to be a place of worship with a spire or a minaret or a dome? Would you like it to be just a simple place of worship with no fancy building? We want a public telephone. I know most people use mobiles these days, but just in case the signal goes, it's always good to be able to get in touch with people if you need to. Campsite. It would be, say, yours is going to be a wonderful little village, the sort of place that people would like to visit. And if they going to visit, they need somewhere to stay. So let's put a campsite in there. Some sort of water. Okay, now that could be a river, it could be a lake or a pond, but like some sort of water in your town or village. Trees, farmland, parkland. So a little bit of green space, please. However you want to use that, but I want some green space in your town. And public transport. Not everyone has access to a car, so either a train station or a bus station, or both. Plus anything else you want to include. So there's 10 items on that list. So I want all 10 of those in your town or village somewhere, but then you can add other things if you want to. Okay, so whatever other things, whatever other symbols you would like to include, you go for it. Okay. And as an extension, something to think about is you could draw very faintly, but you could draw a grid over the top of your map to allow us to plot grid references. Okay, now that's optional. If you're going to do that, make sure your horizontal lines and your vertical lines are equal distance apart. Okay, well, that's just an extension to actually add the grid over the top to allow yourself to read off grid references. Okay, so there's your challenge. Take yourself away from the computer for a little while, enjoy some downtime, enjoy a little bit of art, and design your own dream town or village. Make it as colourful and as attractive as you possibly can. And with that in mind, I know you're going to try your best, but the best maps from the 3 classes are going to come together to form part of a display when we get back into school. Okay, we're starting to think about making our classroom and the breakout area as special as we possibly can to welcome you all back in the next few weeks. But if you can help us out, you can produce a wonderful piece of map work using all the OS symbols. So you're not making up your own symbols. You've got to use the right symbols, but making up your own town, making up your own map, make it as neat, as colourful, as wonderful as you possibly can. And the best ones will join. So we'll join the others from all 3 classes to form a display. Okay, so something to work towards, something to look forward to on your return. But for now, that's the end of today's lesson. Please do get some time away from the screens. I know it's sometimes difficult, but look after yourself, look after those around you, and take care. See you all soon.